Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. The playoffs are in full swing, and man, they have been a lot of fun. We're going to talk about some of the latest news around the NBA playoffs, a few of the different series that we're seeing take place right now as well. Before we dive into everything, though, we've been called the best kept secret around the NBA pod sphere. Podsphere? Is that what we want to go with? Podosphere? I don't know. Maybe we'll come up with a term for it. But in any event, make sure you don't keep us the best kept secret. Let everybody know where to find us. Find us over on the YouTube channel, over on the podcast feed. Tell a friend to go find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to podcasts. We certainly do appreciate it. And if you're not subscribing yet, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you're not a subscriber yet, please feel free. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Keith, how are you doing today? And we've got another fun day of playoff basketball to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm great, man. This is we're in the best time of year. It's cool to see these series get into the game twos because you see that first round of adjustments that teams make, often the losing team, and then you have to see, all right, can the winning team, do they need to even change anything, or can they keep doing what they were doing? And that's been fun to see in these games. We had a couple series get evened up 1-1, which is always good because you know me at this time of year, I start counting down. Excuse me, I'm getting all verklempt about it already. I start counting down, and we're getting down to the last basketball games of the year. So I start wanting these series to extend, so we get as many games as we can get left in the season. So yeah, it's been a blast for the first four days of the playoffs so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, let's start, I guess, with the controversy. Draymond Green suspended for Game 3. Now, it hasn't changed the odds here much in terms of, I mean, the Warriors are a 6-point favorite at home without Draymond against the Sacramento Kings currently as we're recording this. So clearly, Vegas still believes that the Warriors are going to win Game 3, regardless of Draymond not playing. But nonetheless, Draymond Green out now for the Warriors. And I guess let's start here. By now, you saw what happened. If you're watching this show, you care about the NBA enough to where you've seen what happened. Keith, the stomp heard around the world, in your mind, is the suspension justified?
Yes. I tend to agree almost with the way the NBA worded it as far as, hey, there's a history here with Draymond Green. And I think it's also, you factor in what he did, then the way he acted on the court for the, throughout the review, and then after it was announced he was ejected and all those kind of things, and then just this kind of complete lack of contrition afterwards of that never owns these things, right? It's always somebody else's fault why he did what he did. And for me, yeah, this is completely warranted. I would also have, I would not have lost it if they didn't suspend him. Like, I was like, yeah, if he gets suspended, it is what it is. But I tend to think this is one of those ones for Draymond Green in the NBA where, yeah, if you didn't have a history of doing ridiculous stuff, you probably don't get suspended here, but you do. So now it's, repeat offender time, and you're going to pay the price.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, it's unfortunate that it happened now in the playoffs, but then don't stomp on guys, right? I mean, like, don't do that, and
Yeah.
then you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's kind of that simple. And here's, I've seen a lot of like former players come out in support of Draymond and say, "Oh, no, he shouldn't have been suspended," and why is he being held out of a playoff series and all this kind of stuff. But look, I mean, he stomped on Sabonis's chest. Did Sabonis make a meal of it? Maybe a little bit, maybe. But
Sure.
I mean, he pretty clearly brought down some force on Sabonis. Now, here's the problem, though. Here's what I see the most from people who say, "Oh, Draymond shouldn't have been suspended." They say Sabonis started it. And I think that the two things could both be true in terms of, yes, Draymond should get suspended because guess what? You're responsible for your actions. Even if somebody else does something that's not good, you're still responsible for your own actions. But that doesn't mean Sabonis should just get off scot-free. It doesn't mean Sabonis should just be, oh, whatever. He locked up Draymond's leg, grabbed a hold of his leg to prevent him from being in the play. That deserves some sort of a punishment. A suspension? No, probably not. But when we're talking, technical foul, whatever it is you're going to do, he should lose some money because you can't do that either. You can't just grab onto somebody's leg to stop them from getting involved in the play. So that is different, though, than saying, well, Sabonis did this first, so therefore it makes Draymond okay or justified with what he did. I can't get there. Draymond is still responsible for acting the way that he did, and I thought the suspension was warranted. Particularly, my fear, Keith, was when he was going at the crowd, the Sacramento crowd. My fear was, oh no, somebody's going to throw something.
Yeah,
somebody's going to throw something, and we're going to have a much bigger problem.
And he did that with Adam Silver in the house too.
Yeah.
So that was another kind of compounding issue. Adam Silver watched all that play out, and yeah, that's what I meant by all of his antics afterwards. That's just that I think added in. I think Joe Dumars said it both in the statement from the NBA as well as in, it sounds like, comments to ESPN directly of hey, these are all the things that factored in here for us. And I'm with you on Sabonis got punished. He got a technical foul, and that was great officiating. Wouldn't even have had a huge issue if they threw him out of that game too. But you can't. I don't want to spiral us completely out of control here down a section I want to go. But the people saying, well, he started it, starting something doesn't mean you go way over the top with your response to whatever it was that was started. That's a major problem that's emblematic of a lot of things that are going on in our country right now of, hey, you did this minor thing to me, so I'm gonna come back at you with full force and way over the top. And it's like, not everything needs to be, destruction every single time. And, it's just, I can't get behind anybody who says, well, he did it because Sabonis grabbed his leg. We all know why he did it. That doesn't mean we knowing why he did it makes his response proportional at all with that. And some have said, well, what was he supposed to do? I get it. He was going to step on him. Like, that's just how that was going to go. Like, just it was either that or completely fall down. But he stepped on him with force, pushed off him, and went. Right. This isn't even like, we used to play the game when our daughter was little, right? We'd lay down and she would step on you and step over you. Yeah. And it was like, yeah, that was cute until you got to be, 10, 11 years old. That's not fun anymore because now it hurts, right? So it's like one of those things where it's like, just we can't do these things. You just can't step on people purposefully the way he did. And it's, I don't know. So, as far as the series goes, I don't know that this hurts the Warriors all that much. It's one game. They've been without him before plenty of times and won plenty of games without him. I think it does hurt them from the fact that the Kings have been on the attack, but the Kings are due for a little bit of regression to the mean. The Warriors are due to play a little bit better. They're going to be home where they've been a completely different team this year. So I think they're going to get through it just fine. I still think this series is probably going to be a long series. I tend to think it probably goes 7 now more than I picked Warriors in 6 because I thought the Warriors might get one of these first 2. But yeah, this is for me, very, very fair punishment. And, now the Warriors have to react.
Yep. Yeah, and they've got to find a way to win without Draymond. Giannis, doubtful for game 2 now. The Bucks already down 0-1 in the series, and now Giannis Antetokounmpo doubtful for game 2. I mean, this was my favorite to potentially win the championship. A lot of people picking the Bucks because they're playing phenomenal basketball leading up to the playoffs. And now you're down 0-1, and now you might be playing game 2 without Giannis. That could be a little bit of trouble, even if the Miami Heat aren't fully healthy themselves.
Yeah, you do not want to be down 0-2 going to Miami. And that's even a Miami team. We know, we'll get into it, but Tyler Herro is out definitely now through the rest of the playoffs, barring the Heat getting to the finals. And even that sounds like that's a maybe. But I think in this position with Giannis, that is, it's not like you look at it and say, well, they're missing Tyler Herro, so now we're back to even. No, that's not how it works, right? Giannis is a far more impactful player to be out than Tyler Herro is. And Miami has shown, right? They sped the Bucks up a little bit. They played a little faster than I think Milwaukee's comfortable playing with. I think people get these visions in their mind, and this used to happen with LeBron in the Cavs years, and even to some extent in the Heat years too, but it was the runaway freight train on the fast break of, rip and run off the boards, and they get down the floor so fast, and people think those teams play super up tempo, and they're running all the time, and it's more like those two guys, because Giannis does the same thing. They do it like a handful of times per game, where in reality the teams always have played generally fairly slow.
It's just
So
very
it's
loud when they do it, and that's
yes,
what's getting on the
exactly.
highlight reels
Yep.
and all that kind
So
of,
you,
so that's what you associate with that team.
yeah, exactly. So you start to think that's what it is. So Miami played very, very fast, especially for them in that first game of this series. They were really making an effort to get down and score before the Bucks could set their defense, which is the best strategy you can use against Milwaukee because they set in the half court. It can be pretty hard to score in them, but they're not always the fastest team getting back, especially their bigs because Giannis is usually around the basket and Lopez is just not fast. So I do wonder if the Bucks, downsize a little here. I'm very curious to see how they play this. Do you just go with Bobby Portis in the starting group? Do they go small and try to match that small Miami lineup? I'm really curious to see how this goes if Giannis can't go in this one. But I think Milwaukee can still get this win without him. I think there's still enough there, right? You ask a little more of Middleton, Holiday, Lopez, Portis, hey, we just need a little more from all you guys and let's go. And it's, none of them can be Giannis, but they can all be a slightly better version of themselves. Because even with or without Giannis, they did not look good in game one, and the Heat did. So very, 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 interesting. Now it's obviously anytime an 8 seed wins game one, the series is a lot more interesting than we thought it was going to be. And now a lot of intrigue on this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a similar situation here. You've got the Memphis Grizzlies down 0-1 in the series to the Lakers, and Ja Morant is a game time decision. Keith, we talked about the other day on the show, the injury that he suffered was nasty looking. Fortunately, there's no fracture or anything in there. Apparently no ligament damage, but it is very, very painful, this injury that he's got. So, and it was a re-aggravation of a previous injury. So Ja Morant still listed as a game time decision. People have been talking about this, but look, this is normal for the playoffs. The Grizzlies know whether or not Ja Morant is playing. They know whether he's in or out. They're not going to say until 30 minutes prior to game time because this is when you've got extra time to really scheme for specific teams. And why do you want to give your opponent an opportunity to have that much more time knowing exactly what your lineup's going to be? If you can have any advantage in terms of your starting five being a question mark, you're going to take that. So he's a game time decision, but the Grizzlies know exactly what they're going to have or not have tonight, I would imagine. Hopefully Ja is okay, but I would be surprised if we see him play in this one tonight.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you too, just with the fact that anytime a player leaves a game and then doesn't come back into that game, you always are kind of like, oh, that's probably not great for the next game. I think in this case, too, you're spot on with this because now what you've done is right. It's not like you're pulling, the 10 minutes a night that Ja didn't play out of a whole bunch of games to look at. You have full games where he didn't play. So make Darvin Ham and his staff and the Lakers players spend time watching the film on, all right, what does this team look like without Ja? What do they look like with Tyus Jones running things and Desmond Bane getting more opportunities and all those kinds of things? And then 30 minutes before it's like, hey, only kidding, he's playing, and you just hit him, with that, and kind of go from there. So it's I mean, the one you and I go to often,
the Clippers.
We all knew Kawhi had torn his ACL. We could all tell, even our amateur non-doctor eyes knew, and he was questionable every game of that series. I think that was against Utah, right? Every game the rest of the way, and then I think the entire second round, or maybe they did come clean by the time they get into the second round. But
we might do it. We might play him. You never know. You better prepare. He might go out there.
Oh, he's not even at the arena. That's weird. So that's that's the gamesmanship of it. But again, just like Miami, Milwaukee, you don't want to be down 0-2 going to Los Angeles, right? Because now all of a sudden the Lakers have full control of the series. They can even lose one at home if they stumble and they're still in great shape, right? So that's where you're in trouble. You go down 0-2 as the home team. You got to get those wins and get things back kind of on track with this. Again, they've got enough guys to do it. We've seen less so since the trade deadline, but we've seen the Lakers on occasion look amazing one game and then the next game look like a completely different team. But I think this is probably, if you're Grizzlies fans, this is like your worst case fears kind of coming to fruition here of like, crap, the Lakers look really, really good and then go. And obviously, if you're Memphis, you're saying like, all right, Hachimura is not going to score the way he did last time. And we can lock in a little bit here and do this a little bit differently. And, hopefully it'll all be okay. And obviously, I think, too, I had a couple people like, yeah, but the Lakers killed them in game one. They really didn't. That was more like
it was a 1-point game with 2:45 to play.
Yeah, how it turned into such a blowout with so little time. I mean, that was just an avalanche of shot making down the stretch, a bad play by Memphis. So yeah, I mean, this was a tight game almost the entire way. I got to ask you this though. There's got to be part of you as the Lakers guy who's a little bit here like, holy crap, this is setting up well right now for get through a weakened Memphis team. Maybe the Kings knock out the champs, and we don't even have to deal with Steph and those guys in the second round. And now we're through to the West Finals, right? Are you already starting to dream a little bit?
Some maybe. Me, no. I'm too nervous in general for that because I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You know what I mean? And especially given the injury luck this team has had, I'm always concerned about, okay, like this could be good, but you just never know what's coming around the corner. So
you should be the Boston sports fan here because that's how right they're like picking the team apart after two dominant wins over the Hawks. And it's like, I don't know, I didn't like this, and this. And it's like minor things. This guy wasn't, his high fives didn't seem like he really cared. And it's like, what? Like, what are we doing?
Don't get me wrong. I am thoroughly enjoying what we've seen over the last few months, especially when I contrast it to last season and how miserable that was.
Oh, for sure.
So I am, 100%. I am celebrating what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
I'm just not allowing myself to get too far ahead because I know how quickly things can come undone. I mean, just look back in 2001. It looked like, the Suns can't. They can't hang with the Lakers. The Lakers are just the better team. And then Anthony Davis got hurt. And next thing you know, the Suns are on a run to the finals. Like you just never know with the injury front and the way that can go.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. No, I hear you. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So yesterday we had the two series where the home team lost game one, or the two other series, aside from the ones we're going to see tonight, the Knicks and the Cavs, the Clippers and the Suns. We saw the home team come back and tie the series up 1-1, the Suns and the Cavs. And now you've got the Bucks trying to do the same, and the Grizzlies will try to do the same here as well. And we'll see what happens tonight in that one. But
I noticed you very conveniently left the Timberwolves off that list.
I did. Yeah.
Trevor has buried the Timberwolves. We're moving on.
Well, no, I'm talking about teams that were the favorite that had home court.
Oh, got it. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
I missed that part. Sorry.
No, I wasn't trying to bury the Timberwolves.
Right,
I'm talking about because I think going down 0-2 in a series is different than going down 0-2 when you played your two games at home.
Yes, correct.
So that's what I'm getting at.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll bury the Wolves, though. I think.
Okay.
I was ready to be all in agreement with you. Like, hey, we can already cross them off the list, and I'll go to bed early. But
poor Minnesota.
they just don't have enough. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they come up with something tonight, but we'll see.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Heat. Tyler Herro is a broken hand. He is out unless somehow the Heat make the finals.
Yeah.
So that's unlikely. I don't want to just say, it's impossible because things happen, but very rarely in the NBA, especially with 7-game series, typically the best teams win. And I don't have Miami as one of the best teams in the East. And that's not a hot take at all. So I think Tyler Herro's season is most likely over. It'd be different if this were, the NFL and it's one and done, one game and you're out, or March Madness or something like that. Hey, anybody can potentially make a run. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it here.
Yeah, I don't either. I think even if somehow, Giannis can't play or can't be Giannis and they get through this series, I just don't know how they beat the Cavs or the Knicks, who are really both, can be pretty good defensive teams. Cavs definitely were. Knicks generally are. They fell off some this year. They just struggle to score so much that I don't know how they're going to put enough points up without Tyler Herro. He's just obviously an important part to what they do scoring wise. I'm very curious to see what their play is in their starting group. Do Duncan Robinson got into the rotation. For those who are only just kind of now maybe jumping in and watching, he doesn't play anymore. Like he's been out of their rotation for the bulk of this season, especially in the second half. He just stopped making shots. And if he's not going to make shots, you can't play him. So maybe he refines his touch and all of a sudden he's like bubble Robinson again and is amazing. But my guess is probably Caleb Martin gets the first go. Maybe Victor Oladipo also doesn't play anymore for the Heat. They've had him out of the rotation almost the entire second half of the season, especially since the trade deadline. So they're going to need those kind of collection of guys to step up. And obviously Max Strus, who's already starting, they need him to really take on that kind of shot making role. But here's a guy who he's not just a shooter, right? He can put the ball on the floor for a few dribbles, make a shot off, the bounce with a contested shot. He gets out and runs. He's a pretty good passer, operates as often a secondary playmaker for the Heat. So they're going to be looking for offense a little bit here. That's why I kind of feel like this is oddly almost a must win for them to go home up 2-0 because Giannis is coming back and we know the Bucks are really good. And I don't know that 1-1. You always say, hey, our goal is to get the split, right? And go home tied 1-1. But I don't know if that's good enough for the Heat.
Yeah, not against this Milwaukee team, particularly if Giannis winds up playing or if Giannis is back for game 3 or whatever. Like, I don't know. I mean, Keith, let's say the Heat go up 2-0, winning both games in Milwaukee, but Giannis is back for game 3. Do you still pick the Bucks to win the series?
Yeah, probably.
Right. I think that's where I'm at too.
Yeah, and like Giannis is back and he's Giannis. Like, because it's not gonna be good enough to just Giannis is out there, like it just because he's not that kind of guy, right? If he can't be himself, then defenses are gonna kind of be like, all right, well, it's not like he's all of a sudden gonna be, hey, I know he can't really move, but he's still gonna knock in 4 3-pointers. Like that's not who he is as a player. Like he has to be himself to play well. So let's see how it goes tonight.
All right, we've got some awards to talk about. De'Aaron Fox wins Clutch Player of the Year, the Jerry West Award. Very well deserved. I mean, he's been fantastic in fourth quarters. Always seems to hit those big shots. De'Aaron Fox has the Kawhi Leonard thing, where it's like there's a magnet on the rim, where as long as the ball hits the rim, it's going to bounce around and roll in. And Kawhi does this as well. It's remarkable. He's just got a fantastic touch on a shot and seems to hit those big shots in the fourth quarter, can get that mid-range. That's what NBA defenses are set up to give up is the mid-range shot, right? Stop layups, stop three-point attempts, because we know analytics and all that. But De'Aaron Fox has made himself very, very good with that mid-range, and he can get that during clutch situations and knocks them down at a high rate. He's been huge for the Kings, and this has been a fantastic season for them. Maybe they put themselves in position to knock out the Warriors. Long way to go there, but still, I think this is a very deserving, and I don't know if I want to say obvious. Like some other players have been good in fourth quarters too, but De'Aaron Fox won the award for a reason. I think he was the correct choice here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he led the league in clutch scoring, not just because that can be a misleading stat sometimes. Sure. It's like, oh, well, like if we go back to the Warriors when they were blowing everybody out, when they were kind of at the peak of their dynasty, it was like, we don't ever play a clutch game. So, I guess Steph Curry's not a clutch player then because we never play them. We just kill everybody in 3 quarters. They played clutch games. He really just he was unstoppable, and it's cool to see. You could see this kind of building over the last few years with De'Aaron Fox into like get the right kind of running mate for him, and they finally got it with Sabonis. Like that trade is going to go down at one where I can't wait till I don't know, maybe it's time now, but like go back and look at like the tweets and the reaction pieces from that day of people just murdered the Kings. And if I remember correctly, you and I were a little like, it's weird, but Sabonis is good. Like, people acted like they traded Tyrese Halliburton for the worst player in the league, and it like in a salary dump type of thing. And it's like, Sabonis is good. This guy's like actually good. And now as you look at it, it's like, man, this kind of worked out pretty great for both teams. Yeah. Just kind of greater right now in the immediate for the Kings, obviously, and they've good work by them to then fill the roster out around those guys and get good players in there. So yeah, for a really fun team in Sacramento and really well deserved for De'Aaron Fox.
By the way, we should mention
Oh.
Sabonis. We didn't talk about this earlier. Is questionable for Game 3.
Yes.
So that certainly can be a factor when we talk about the Warriors being the favorite. He's questionable due to a contusion with his sternum, obviously from the Draymond Steve Austin stomp. But I would have to. My guess is he plays. I would assume that he does play, but it's something worth mentioning here as we're talking Sabonis.
And speaking of questionable, Giannis upgraded to questionable for tonight. So
usually when you get day of upgrades or downgrades, it's a sign of what's to come. An upgrade means the guy's usually going to wind up playing. A downgrade typically means they're not going to play when it's day of the game. So, that's a good sign that maybe Giannis is a go tonight.
And for what it's worth, Rudy Gobert apparently reports out a shoot around. He's feeling pretty good now. His back feels much better than it felt on Sunday. So that's good for the Wolves because they need him, right?
They definitely do.
They're going to play that well. So yeah.
All right, Jaren Jackson Jr. gets Defensive Player of the Year, led the NBA in blocks, had himself a very, very nice season for Memphis. I mean, there were some other candidates you could look at, but I liked the season that Jaren Jackson Jr. had. There was some buzz for Brook Lopez, of course, as well. I thought he had a very good season for the Bucks, but I can't be too upset with Triple J winning this. I think he's a worthy candidate. And while, there's some other guys you could point to, I mean, Jaren Jackson was really good. And so I don't take anything away from him here.
Yeah, I don't either. I think he was great this season. And I know some people have gone to the whole, well, he didn't play, he missed a lot of games, he didn't play a ton of minutes and all those things. That's all true. Like, you can't argue any of that, but I don't know. I tend to fall a little on the other side of, hey, I'm still gonna, if the guy's that good, I still want to reward it. It's not like he played 20 games, right? This is not I'm going to use a baseball term, but Rafael Palmeiro winning a gold glove when he played like 12 games at first base. Like, that was just a complete reputation vote because nobody bothered to look back then, which obviously that would never get away with now, not with the internet, right? People would lose their minds over something like that. He played enough and he had a big enough impact. I thought Evan Mobley was up there too. I thought, he was, another viable guy. Brook Lopez should have been in the mix. I thought Anthony Davis, I think, this is where it goes back and forth a little bit on the games and minutes stuff of that. But I thought Anthony Davis had a really wonderful season for the Lakers. I just think the Lakers and Bucks team defenses slipped just enough that it's like, you're going to pick somebody from one of the top teams. And that's, ultimately that's where Jackson and Mobley, I had them slightly ahead of those guys, but it's a worthy winner.
Anthony Davis got 0 votes even, which was a bit of a surprise. And again, I don't think that Jaren Jackson winning was incorrect here or anything like that, but I think so Anthony Davis played more minutes this year than Jaren Jackson, but appeared in 56 games. Jaren Jackson 63. So people are looking at that and say, well, AD got penalized for being out for part of the season when Jaren Jackson missed almost as many games and played less minutes and didn't get penalized for that. And again, I can't say landing on Jaren Jackson was the incorrect decision, but people are just pointing out like, hey, we're not weighting things equally when we're looking at missed games and things like that. But that's also kind of what happens with award season. There's always something to quibble over.
Yeah, and they don't give you super cut and dry parameters of that's changing to some extent with this. And it's funny because I've seen some people, they try to look at the voting for defensive player of the year to then, what are the all defense teams going to look like? And then I've seen some people like, well, you got to have AD at a forward spot then. To me, that's now we're going too far because he doesn't play forward anymore. He's played the 5 almost solely this season. Very little time next to another true big man this year. So, if he makes it as one of the 4 forwards, I have no issue. Great, good. Reward him with that. And it was very interesting though, the trending. Like after Marcus Smart won last year, I thought deservedly so. this trended very much back to, all right, this is for bigs. Like it was all big guys, and like a couple guards got like the token like third place vote here and there. I think Caruso got a couple, Holiday got a couple. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, no issue with Jaren Jackson Jr. winning that award. And tonight is Coach of the Year. So we'll see. I'm expecting it'll probably be Mike Brown. It probably should be. So but yeah, should be another fun one to watch.
Yep, absolutely. That's going to be announced tonight. So we'll talk about that a bit more tomorrow. But that's everything we've got for today.
Yeah.
Some more exciting games tonight, and man, playoff basketball. It's a lot of fun. There've been a few blowouts and things. Not every game can be great, but there've been some really fun games so far in the playoffs, and I hope that trend continues, because this has been a blast, just covering the playoffs and getting to watch all these great games, and hopefully it continues.
I don't mind the blowouts on the nights when there's 3 games, and like if the overlapping game is kind of a blowout, then it's like, all right, cool, I can really dial in on the one that's good. And then I really don't mind on the weekends if like one is a blowout, because I might close my eyes for half hour or so and catch a nap, because I mean I'm not complaining by any means, but like watching 8 games like consecutively over the course of a weekend, it gets to be a little bit like, oh man, like you close your eyes and all I'm seeing is like bouncing balls, and
you're hearing sneakers,
and hearing sneakers and all that stuff. It's like I used to play a lot of Tetris, and then like I would close my eyes and I'd still see the Tetris blocks like when they were coming down, like, and I was like, all right, I gotta stop playing this stupid game.
There's a movie on that I've been meaning to watch.
Yeah, I want to watch it too. I think it's on Apple. I think
that might be right.
Yeah, it's on one of those. Yeah, I definitely want to see that. I gotta get out. I haven't seen Air yet. Like I gotta go see that. I really want to see that one. I really want to see the Mario movie. I think it looks really funny.
I did see that. It was pretty good.
Was it? Yeah, I do want to see that one. And then of course, I mean, we're only a couple weeks now away from Guardians 3. So
that's right.
Gotta get that on the list as well. So yeah, it's but playoffs come first, and then
that's right. You can plan to watch all those movies in August and the first half of September.
Right. I'll catch them all when they're already now on streaming, and
that's right
in the theater. I will go see Guardians in the theater. That is at a bare minimum. That's my thing. So, but yeah, that I will find. I'll carve out the one day where it's like, all right, hopefully there'll be no news today. Playoffs are later, and I'm gonna go watch the Guardians.
Chance it.
That's it. You got to.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show here on YouTube, as well as the podcast version over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.